I would say it's a webinar on what's the latest in AI. It's even called that. It's called Advances in AI. How did it start? Well, it started 3 years ago before there was AI, but there was Hugging Face, and Hugging Face was charming new thing, and that was very nice. So I started this webinar just to tell people what I'm learning and doing with Hugging Face, and meanwhile they appeared AI, and I would say life completely changed. So what we're doing is we're looking at all the news that are there, well, all that I happen to say that are there in AI, and especially something practical. So that's what exactly I will do today, something practical, and we'll do so January 6th today. I will give you a little challenge to just warm up your brain. That is because once you said that, you said, Mark, why don't you give us something to do? Click, push the buttons. And I gave you a virtual machine and it didn't quite go well. I don't know. Besides, you're probably doing this anyway. But then I found a very interesting mathematical problem, and from then on, I just couldn't stop myself. So I'm giving you a little challenge. You can even try to look at that challenge during the week and bring your proof. But that's what we'll look at first. And mostly, we're not interested in the challenge itself. We're interested in what it can do to our brain. How can it help us? Because we are faced with the challenge, and the challenge is, well, I think everybody is writing about it. How do you take this AI? All right, we'll talk about this more. Then I will look at some news, whatever is interesting is there. And then I will show you a couple things. First of all, I used anti-gravity, and that's a Google tool. I'll show you how I started just basically developing a project that I suggested to a certain entity, and they approved. And every night I'm thinking, I haven't made the next step. So I whip up my anti-gravity and just do the next step with anti-gravity. I'll show you how you do it. That's amazing new life. Okay, that's what I will do. And then another thing is that somebody asked this question: how do I find a job, Mark? Okay, well, I have more or less an idea of how we can go about this. So that's what we will do. Okay? All right, let us start the warm up. The challenge of the week is if you take any number n, okay, and then this number squared, and then subtract n, that it will be always even. Now, with that, I am switching to the dashboard or to the whiteboard. In fact, I'm stopping that because I find it's a little confusing to have too many. So share. Okay. Now I can remove that and I can give you example number one. And example number one is this. Let's do green. So what we're saying is n squared. Let's do lowercase n. N squared minus n is always even. I'll give you an example. Let's say n as 2. 2 is even itself. No, let's do 3. Then what we have is 3 squared, 3 squared minus 3. How much is that? So 3 squared is 9, minus 3 is 6. Indeed, it is even. So if you want to give me your proof, and I have 7 proofs, but I'm not going to give you all of them. So if you want to give me your proof here on the chat, I think you did it. Okay, and Paul has a problem with anti-gravity, and we will look at that. Okay, any if anyone wants to say something, anything about n squared minus n, then they are welcome. But I will give you a couple proofs. For giving you a couple proofs, I will show you the book that I'm studying. It's a wonderful book by a mathematician called Hemkins. Okay, and here it is. But he also teaches you how to train your brain. That is very interesting. Now let's go to here. And he says that's the problem we're going to look at. And one simple proof is beautiful. It's so beautiful that I will show that to you. It's proof number 2. Here it is. So don't look at that page, or you don't even see that page. That's okay. I'm still presenting here. So that's what we will do. He says n squared minus n. Okay, let's do it. N squared minus n is exactly equal to n. And I apologize for uppercase, lowercase. I'm sure you understand me. We'll come back to this statement later on. But that is indeed equal, right? So n squared minus n, you can regroup, and that will be n times n minus 1. Well, that's my first proof. Either n is divisible by 2, and divisible by 2 means it is even, or n minus 1 is divisible by 2, and therefore it is even. Beautiful. Please vote. How much do you give to this proof? How much do you give this proof on the scale of 1 to 5? But for you to have something to compare to, I'll give you another proof. And another proof is also very charming. The other proof is that. Let's do it like that. Now, if n is equal to 0, then, of course, n squared minus n is 0 minus 0, and it is 0. Therefore, it is true. So what if n equals 1, 2, 3, and so on? That's called induction. What if I take the next n? Well, I can take it the previous one that I have already proven, and plus 1. Plus, oh, sorry, it didn't work. But it's the basic idea by induction. It's also very cute, and you can do it that way. I'm not showing you the other proofs. Rather, I'm stopping my share here and returning to my share here, because that's where I really want to be. And that's the secret of beautiful proofs. Okay, let's stop that. I love math too much, and I need to stop myself. We were right here. So we said here is a proof that n squared minus n is always even. But why do we... Okay, thank you. But why are we talking about this? And that's coming back to our... I shouldn't have even closed it. That's coming back to why. Well, especially today that there is AI, we need to think, well, what is my brain compared to AI, right? That bothers everybody, doesn't it? And therefore, your brain becomes very precious. I personally believe that humans are on par with AI, and they should partner with AI. And therefore, they should exercise your brain. Well, Andrew Ain says that everybody will have to learn something every day, so or at least every week. So if you want to tell me, I'm going back to chat. If you want to tell me something about, okay, Shin, you gave 5, and I didn't show you. Thank you. I didn't show you the induction proof. Maybe next time, but thank you very much. That's wonderful. So the next question is how many things you learned this week? And you can put that. But in order to learn something, he suggests that Hampkins, very nice English gentleman, he suggests that we should learn from mathematicians and from their habits. And there you are. So the first, it will not be AI. It will be just pure I, intelligence. And the first thing that he suggests that we should all do is state what we mean. State that explicitly. And that is what you should do when you're talking to AI. I think that is teaching you to express yourself better. Because if you don't say precisely what you want, the AI, like any human, will not do exactly what you address. So he says, do not allow ambiguity. He says that about mathematical claims and theorem proofs. But what's important is that ambiguity, don't allow it. Why it ran away? That is because how many times you have heard a statement, well, you know what I mean. Well, I noticed that people use that why no I know what I mean when they don't know what they mean. And that's because they are not trained to express themselves precisely. Every time that I hear the person is getting lost in his train of thought, he adds, you know what I mean. Well, it would be very impolite to say, no, I don't know what you mean, and I think you don't know what you mean. But he says, don't do that. And then he goes into more and more math results. Uh, Not all of them are needed by us today. So the major lesson that we learn from here is that when you talk to AI, just as you work on mathematical something, you should be precise. You should express exactly what you mean. And one ancient philosopher said when you're going to talk to an audience, then it's a good thing to even rehearse what you're going to say. So before you say it, maybe say it to yourself. And that's all I wanted to show you out of this math book. And then I wanted to go to the AI news. Now, these AI news represent Andrew Ng sending the batch newsletter right here. You say it's January 30th. That's because very nice Andrew Ng used to send it on Wednesday. And now he sends it on Friday, just 1 hour after we're done. And I cannot believe he's doing it on purpose to hurt us, but practically, we need to look at the news as they were 6 days ago. Maybe that will change. In any case, one of the news is very big, political, and that America isn't moving forward or backwards. And then he talks about how AI is affected by politicians and all of that. That's too high for me. So I'm not talking about this. That one we uh, touched last time. That's how we can use Anthropic and their IDE, which I also have. But today I will do the similar thing, except that I'll do it with Antigravity. So good enough will do that. But the interesting thing is here, shopping protocols for AI agents. It seems like we're in the totally Wild West, right? So MCP is multi agent protocol, how the AI agents now can talk to each other. Well, Google introduced a new open source protocol, and that one is how you can go shopping. Well, if you're Google, then the hope is that people will listen and you will perhaps implement it and you will see it implemented. So imagine that all of the stores implement that. Then you can send agents on your behalf to go and buy something for you. Just as in programming, you would probably not give it complete credit card. That's what you see in some Chinese movies. where no limit credit card. No, that's what he won't give. But a protocol with approvals probably is coming. So that's the second thing that's very interesting he talks about, and that I find that's it. So that's about it. I want to talk about the news. Let's close that. And then let's go back to the so how I use the anti-gravity. For that, I need to start anti-gravity. You know that it installs magically, and I don't even have a picture to start with. So all I do is type anti-gravity straight into my screen. I'm on Ubuntu, so it comes up. Okay, that is the right place. It's called, the project I'm working on is called AAB Financial AI, and whatever it means, initially I said they are telling me that they want to have some control over the money, so what should they do? Okay, what should they do is write down the proposal. So I'll show you the proposal. That is quite all right to do. So let's go Drive and find AAB. Should be here. No, okay, find AB. There it is. Okay, so AI wrote a proposal for me. Proposal. Well, all I had to do is show it and put the price. And since AI wrote it, it had a good chance to be accepted. And it was accepted. The next trick that I did, and this is where anti-gravity shines, is this is where you can say what you want to say here. So what I said, just give me a, like, do you remember I gave you my AAB proposal to implement? And that is honestly the beauty of anti-gravity. It's magic. You don't even know how it works, but you tell it what you want. As you can see, it's trying to remember that proposal that I gave, analyzing the conversation, sees a B proposal. I'm just reviewing what I have done before. Okay, confirming. So you probably don't see these letters are too small, so I'll be telling you what it's doing. But what it's doing is that it successfully confirmed that it remembers. It gives me the exact title of my proposal, and I know that it found it. And then I said, now let's go. Let's implement it. And in my case, I work on that every evening. What happens is that every evening I realize, oh boy, I have not worked on that proposal today. So next step. And I'm asking it, what would be the next step? So it says, okay, well, the first thing you suggest is automated data management. And that, it says, includes ingestion, categorization, and so on. And correct. Then it writes the code. That was quite amazing. I said, let's go implement it. Let write the code. Well, can you show? Let's try that. Let's say, can you run the app? Just like that. How would you talk to a human? Well, pretty much in that style. Well, Gemini, the Google model, is smart enough to do that. Now it says what I'm reading is running the application. And it says I'm preparing the application. It chose the technology. It's a web browser-based application. And now it says starting the server right here. I'll try to find out how to make those letters bigger. That's one thing that I find inconvenient because when anti-gravity talks to me, the letters are very small. Like you like, and make them out. But I prefer often ChatGPT because it makes big letters and big pictures. It shouldn't, wouldn't be the case. That's not how it should be. But okay, start the server. It tells me I'm starting the server like that. Just accept. Okay, I accept it. And now it says, oh, well, can you at least open the browser? Well, I'm not sure if it will open the browser for me. It says I opened it for myself, but you don't see it. That's what it says. But it gives me the link. Okay, I'm clicking on that link. There you are. Look at that. It actually created an application. Now that I jumped into that without even, honestly, without the preparation, I wanted that this way. There you are. It gives me the result. Now, I know I tried it once. It says, please drop the file that I gave you. So I remember that I had that file somewhere. Let's see. It's probably one CSV file, but I don't remember. Okay, don't sweat with the small tab. Where is the sample data? Okay, that's what you would normally say to a person. Well, that's what you say to AI. It will tell me the data is called demo data CSV. And where is it? Demo data CSV, that's where it is. So I can ask ls demo data is here. Okay. So what if I do this? What if I copy it from demo data CSV to the desktop just because it will be easy to get it from there. So I copied it over there. I already opened that. And now I know that I should go to my desktop there. And this is my demo data. All right, I'm dropping it right here. And I see, at least I have that much intelligence. It thought it needs to do something like a download. No, what it needs to do is open it. So what I need to do is click and give it that data. There you are. It says, I see that. I says, I see your demo data. And then I see the button process and categorize. So I see that AI is knowledgeable in human psychology. It knows what I will probably understand and what I will not. There you are. I clicked on it. Well, it knows what humans like. And what they see is, oh, you see some transactions. That's probably something that should be correct. And it gave it the most plausible transactions. Again, it may be hard to read that, but it says Starbucks coffee, Uber ride, monthly salary deposit, Amazon marketplace, city rent payment, Whole Foods market, Netflix subscription, and unknown bank charge. And it even here on the right categorized that as that is anomaly. And if I mouse over, it says, it's a very big value. It's more than what 1,000, and another anomaly. Well, I think we should all have applause, and not for me, but for um, anti-gravity. So my wife asked me, "Well, what are you doing there?" That's a good question. That is, I believe that we're partners with that. So that's my point of view. But some people will ask, "Well, how long before you're completely replaced?" Well, I think that's one possibility. So let's do that. Let's go back and share a picture. Okay, that is my picture, but let's do a new one. I'm not used to that. That's why it takes me a little time. Okay, I can just remove it. So, question, what is in the future? I started from the optimistic future and that we work together. That's what it is right now. Let's say it's one. We work together with with AI. What happens next? So one of the possibilities can be is that uh, we're not needed any longer. That's one possibility. So let's say 2A, we are, and 2B, we keep working together. That would really depend upon the future. It's hard to predict the future. So let me just suggest the next step for your vote. And that is we find what we really should do. When it shakes out, because it has to take some time, they talk about guaranteed income, and humans have to become somewhat better because if on the guaranteed income they try to get someone else's guaranteed income through war, that's not nice. Okay, but what if we find what we really what should do? Find what we really should do. And that could be 3A. Study poetry. I'm sorry for that. Poetry. 3B philosophy. Philo. Or 3C, your choice. Now, really, I absolutely need your input. Here's the chat. Tell me your ideas. Which one do you vote for? Do you vote for? What suggestions you have? Okay, let's give it a minute. And I promise I'll keep telling you something useful. But 3C, okay, that's wonderful. 3C, your choice. But what is your choice? So I would suggest that those people who just cannot think what to do if they don't have to do that, if they don't have to work, then the AI will find something for us to do. I mean, if we cannot think of what to do, okay. Book recommendation Bullish Jobs by David Graeber applies to AI revolution. Even if the jobs are useless, do them. Okay, that's a possibility, yeah. And that's close to the Hindu idea of work, of karma yoga. I would say it's there. Okay, now I understand I was not asked to do this, but I think it's very fascinating because that is really what's going on. So that's wonderful. Thank you very much for that. Let me stop sharing. Okay, and let me share this screen and we'll continue. So what we wanted to do is this. We wanted to, first of all, do the challenge of the week, and I invite you to come early and show your potentially solution. Then we looked at the news, and especially interesting was the new protocol, open source protocol, which Andrew Ng mentions that of course Google will gain if people accept its protocol. Google tried it early on when search was becoming popular, tried to do the implementation of shopping. Back then it didn't go, but now with the 8 might. Then I wanted to show you how I use anti-gravity. Well, the way I use it is just tell it what to do, test it. It does require high-level thinking. It does require expressing yourself clearly enough so that it is interested in doing what you asked it to do and you get what you want. So right now, I think we are somewhere in a very positive environment. And I've done 2 out of 12 functionalities. Well, I hope that next way, watch me, I should be giving you the full functionality, or at least another 4, 5, 6. All right, that's great, but then you ask me, let's talk about how to get the job. Here's my suggestion. First of all, a mistake that I often make, if I make a mistake, it's usually not using AI enough. So what you need to do is take your question and go to AI. I will be using ChatGPT here, and I prefer to have my project organized like many people do. So here are my projects, and that will be quite a random request. So I go to random project, and I start by saying, let's talk about how to get a job. Now, I will use some facts about AI that I know, and that is that Sam Altman said that the goal of ChatGPT is to become your personal friend. And you may notice that when you use ChatGPT, it now keeps remembering all that you did, all that you said, and it usually gives its recommendations in the form for you, Mark, who is doing this, this, and that. I think it says this would go well. So when I say let's talk about job, it will tell me something that's very specific to me. So let's try that. But for you, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, for you it will be important to keep giving it your feedback so that it really knows what you personally want to do. So I'll go a little bit. I will want your input. All right. Good topic, but it knows a lot of what I do. So he understands that you're probably playing a game. And yes, but I don't know how to tell it without confusing. Okay, so it says positioning, tell a story about yourself, access, how do you actually get in front of decision makers, and then conversion interview offer. And then he says, what job do you want? So you see, it knows me, knows what I do. So it suggests titles that are pretty close to what I could be doing. Okay. But then asks, why do you need that, Mark? You know, one friend asked me, why do you need something I was shown to him before? And that changed my thinking. So that is what it wants to know. Now, what's the real motivation now? What are you trying to get? Okay. That's what I will suggest. You start talking to it. Let us say, okay, now I want to see what you are saying. And what you are saying, I turned off memory in ChatGPT so I can control the context better. Okay, that's a great advice, and I also agree. And that's another use case. Not everybody. Like, I prefer it would remember everything about me. It's easy for me to even know, not copy pasting again and again the thing. You remember? Yes, it remembers. Now, Jensen, you say, imagine AI is a new intelligent coworker. We can choose how to work with a new good coworker, not our enemy. Yeah, I totally agree. Yes, I think so. And not only that, but you notice how it says that's a great idea and all of that. Can you work in a contrarian mode? Can you work in a contrarian mode? So I don't want it to agree with me all the time, just the opposite. Find a weak point in my reasoning, and that's what I'm saying. Find a weak AWK point in my reasoning. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's what I said to you, but that's what I should say to it. Okay, copy paste will do. Back to chat. So now I said it to AI. And that has an additional advantage. And now you see what it's doing. It says a weak point is not about jobs. It's about how you frame the whole problem. Okay, it says your core assumption is getting jobs found is about finding the right role. But I say that assumption is backward at your level. Yeah. And my level is, I have to admit, I'm not an entry level program anymore. Okay. Senior roles don't exist and blah blah. So that blah blah will be my personal blah blah. Your blah blah will be different, but it definitely is the way to go, I would say. Now that that we're talking about how to really do it, what I would suggest, okay, uh, next time, and that I'm telling to you here on the chat, what I suggest is okay. Okay, always share your experiences next time. So next time you can share your experiences, but what I like about that is that you are sharing. You can teach it to be more adversarial with a system prompt like always describe your answer in 20, 80, 20, take a forward-thinking view, tell it like this. I like it all. So I'll get the record of that and I will save that. What I will do for the next time is let's continue this conversation. So what I usually do is I prepare for the next time, and next time is February 17, 13. What I will do is reviewing your suggestions. Okay, so that I don't do that on the spot, so that I give the due diligence and due reverence to your suggestions. That's what I will do. All right. So thank you very much, everybody. I think we covered all that we wanted to cover. By the way, I now publish that not only to the YouTube, where it always is, but maybe hard to find. I publish it on Spotify as well. And the way to find it is to get an email from me like this. And it's right here. So if you want to see what we were doing before, I'm copy pasting this into our chat. And if you want to do that, oh, it didn't give me the exact link. So let's do that. Let's give the exact link. There you are. Okay, everybody, thank you very, very much because putting myself in these situations where I can easily embarrass myself or do something wrong requires me to be on the tiptoes, and you provide that. You provide an impetus and absolute requirement for me to learn, just like I advise everybody. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone. Be well. Wishing you a great weekend, and after that, a wonderful year to come. Okay. Thank you, everybody.